The evolution of operating system. What is operating system? Is a system software that manages computer hardware and software resources and provides common services for computer programs. There are types of operating system. First, batch operating system is one of the important types of operating system. The users who using a batch operating system do not interact with the computer directly. Each user prepare its job on an offline device like punch card and submit it to the computer operator. Next, multitasking or time-sharing OS is a logical extension of multi-programming. Processor time is shared among multiple suppliers simultaneously is termed as time sharing. Next, multiprocessing OS refers to the use of two or more CPU within a single computer system. Next, real-time OS is a software component that rapidly switches between tasks, giving the impression that multiple programs are being executed at the same time on a single processing core. Next, distributed operating system is a system software over a collection of independent, network, communicating, and physically separate computational nodes. Next, network OS is a system software that manages the hardware resources and provides services to the application software. Next, mobile OS is a software that allowed smartphones, tablet PCs or personal computers, and other devices to run applications and programs. The ENIAC or Electronic Numerical Integrator and Computer in 1945. ENIAC is the first general-purpose electronic computer built during World War II by the United States. ENIAC designed specially for computing values for artillery range tables. It lacked some feature that would have made it a more generally useful machine. It used plugboards for communicating instructions for the machine. It had the advantage that once the instructions were thus programmed, the machine ran at electronic speed. EDSAC, or Electronic Delay Storage Automatic Calculator in 1949. EDSAC is the first full-size stored program computer built at the University of Cambridge by engineer Maurice Wilks. EDSAC is the large-scale electronic calculating machine in which ultrasonic delay units are used for storage of orders and numbers. EDVAC, Electronic Discrete Variable Automatic Computer. The second stored program computer built by J. Presper Eckert, John Mauchly, and von Neumann. EDVAC was an arithmetic-only computer working with binary numbers rather than the decimal operation of ENIAC. It had 1044-bit words of delay line memory. BINAC, or Binary Automatic Computer, in 1949. BINAC was an early electronic computer designed for Northrop Aircraft Company by the Eckert-Mauchly Computer Corporation in 1949. BINAC had no provision to store decimal digit or characters, but was able to perform high-speed arithmetic on binary numerals. UNIVAC, or Universal Automatic Computer, in 1959. UNIVAC is the first mass-produced and commercially successful computer introduced in 1951 by Remington Rand. UNIVAC, which used thousands of vacuum tubes for computation, were the forerunners of today's digital computer. IBM 701, or International Business Machine, in 1952. IBM 701 was the IBM's first commercial scientific computer. Thomas Johnson Watson Jr. was the inventor of IBM 701. He wanted to contribute what he called a business calculator to aid in the United Nations policing of Korea. Its internal memory contained 2,036-bit words of electrostatic memory and 8,192 words of magnetic drum memory. The Interrupt in 1956. is a response by the processor to an event that needs attention from the software. The interrupts have types. First, hardware interrupts and software interrupts. When we say hardware interrupts, is an electronic alerting signal sent to the processor from an external device like a disk controller or an external peripheral. For example, when we press a key on the keyboard or move the mouse, they trigger hardware interrupts which cause the processor to study the keystroke or mouse position. And under hardware interrupts, we have maskable interrupts and non-maskable interrupts. When we say maskable interrupts, is a hardware interrupts that can be disabled or ignored by the instruction of CPU. While a non-maskable interrupts is a hardware interrupt that cannot be disabled or ignored by the instruction of CPU. And the other interrupts is software interrupts. Is an interrupts that is caused by software, usually by a program in user mode. Software interrupts may also be unexpected triggered by program execution errors. These interrupts typically are called traps or exceptions. For example, a divide by zero exception will be thrown if the processor executes a divide instruction with divisor equal to 0. Fortran, or Formula Translation, in 1954 to 1957. Fortran is computer programming language that reassembles algebra in its notation and widely used for scientific applications. Fortran was originally developed by IBM in 1950s for scientific and engineering applications. Operating system by late 1950s. DEC, or Digital Equipment Corporation, in 1961. DEC was founded in 1957 by Ken Olson and Harlan Anderson, engineers who had worked on very early machines at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or MIT. DEC is a leading worldwide supplier of network computer system, software, and services. They began by building small circuit modules for laboratory use, and they released their first computer, the PDP-1, in 1961. Compatible Time Sharing System, or CTSS, in 1962. Compatible Time Sharing System was developed at the MIT Computation Center in the 1960s and 1970s. CTSS ran on IBM 7094 with special hardware. CTSS was represent the beginning of the idea that operating system can work on multiple threads or multitask. Time sharing means the system can allocate resources for two tasks or processes at once. This was a major advance since earlier mainframe and computer system only work on one process at a time. Master Control Program, or MPC, in 1963. MPC is the proprietary operating system of the Bureau Small, Medium, and Large System, including the Unisys ClearPath, or MPC system. MPC is the operating system that controls your computer or the MPC server. The MPC was a leader in many areas, including the first operating system to manage multiple processors, the first commercial implementation of virtual memory, and the first OS written exclusively in a high-level language. IBM 16360 in 1964. The IBM 360 series of computers was one of the first families of computer. It designed to cover the complete range of application from small to large, both commercial and scientific. The plan was to provide a wide range of computer in price and performance which were compatible with one another in what was termed upward compatibility. This meant that programs written on lower priced, less powerful models would be run on more expensive, more powerful models. Operating system for the 1970s. The mouse in 1967 to 1968. Though Engelbart invented the computer mouse in the early 1960s in his research lab at Stanford Research Institute, it was designed as a wooden box with two metal wheels that make contact with the surface and only one key. Multics, or Multiplexed Information and Computing Service in 1964 and onwards. Multics is a time-sharing operating system begun in 1965 and used until 2000. Multics has a prototype of a computer utility providing secure computing to control users at their terminals. Multics has influenced all modern operating systems since from microcomputers to mainframes. The Unix time-sharing system from Bell Telephone Laboratories in 1969 is a general-purpose, multi-user, interactive operating system for the Digital Equipment Corporation 11 out of 40 PDP and 11 over 45 computers. On Unix, there is a graphical user interface similar to Windows that support easy navigation and support environment. With GUI, using a Unix-based system is easy, but still one should know the Unix command for the cases where a GUI is not available, such as telnet session. It offers a number of features seldom found, even a larger operating system, including a hierarchical file system incorporating demountable volumes, compatible files, devices, and inter-process input and output. The ability to initiate asynchronous processes, system command language selectable on a per-user basis, over 100 subsystems including a dozen language. Intel announces the microprocessor in 1971. Intel was the world's first microprocessor, a complete general-purpose CPU on a single chip, that released in March 1971. The 4004 marks the beginning of Intel's rise to global dominance in the processor industry. The Virtual Machine Operating System in 1972. VM1370 is an operating system which provides its multiple users with seemingly separate and independent BIM system 1370 computing system. And it has three different operating systems. First, Control Program or CP. Second, Conversational Monitor System or CMS. And the last one, Remote Spooling and Communication Subsystem. A control program is an operating system that uses a computing machine to simulate multiple copies of the machine itself. The Conversational Monitor System is an operating system that supports the interactive use of the computing machine by one person. And the last one, Remote Spooling and Communication Subsystem, is the operating system used to provide information transfer among machines linked with communication facilities. These three systems used together produce a general-purpose multiple-access facility. Unix 4th edition is published in 1973. This made it portable and changed the history of OS. It was rewritten in C. Unix is a multi-user operating system designed for flexibility and adaptability. Unix 4th edition originally developed by Dennis Ritchie. The approach of using a high-level language for writing an operating system was relatively novel one. The operating system were written for a specific machine, had to be efficient, and had to access various low-level aspects of the machines. Ethernet in 1973. Bob Metcalfe invented Ethernet in 1973 while at Xerox PARC, and the company patented in 1975. Ethernet came to dominate the industry. It has extended from the LAN into the wired area and wireless realm. The experimental Ethernet was used to link Altos to one another and to servers and the laser printers. Xerox Alto in 1973. Xerox Alto was the first computer to use graphical icon and a mouse to control the system, the first graphical user interface, a small personal computing system, and the Alto was a prototype workstation, not an actual product that Xerox launched. The personal computer age began in 1974, a digital computer designed for use by only one person at a time. A small firm named MITS made the first personal computer, the Altair. Apple II in 1976 is an 8-bit home computer and one of the world's first highly successful mass-produced microcomputer product. It was designed primarily by Steve Wozniak. The Apple II was a fully realized consumer product. Apple II became one of the most successful and recognizable computer for over 15 years. VEC introduced the first box computer running VMS in 1977. Was the first of a range of popular and influential computers implementing the VAX ISA. It was designed to be easy to program, and also it was designed to take advantage of the VAX architecture incorporating demand paging, which enabled the computer to allocate and load a page of memory when the process needed it and to map it into the correct memory location for the process. And it introduced in October 25, 1977. VisiCalc and WordStar came out in 1979. VisiCalc was the first microcomputer word processor to offer WYSIWYG, or what you see is what you get functionality. It was considered a fourth-generation software program on 17 October 1979. VisiCalc was released for the Apple II, marking the birth of the spreadsheet for personal computer. Operating system for the 1980s. IBM introduced the IBM PC in 1981. The first IBM PC, formerly known as the IBM Model 5150, was based on a 4.77 MHz Intel 8088 microprocessor and used Microsoft's MS-DOS operating system. Microsoft began work on MS Windows in 1983. Microsoft finally announced in November 1983. Windows promised a simple graphical interface, device-independent graphics, and multitasking support. These were the major features of Windows 1.0. Graphical User Interface, or GUI, with drop-down menus, title windows, and mouse support. Device-independent screen and printer graphics, cooperative multitasking of Windows application. Apple Macintosh came out in 1984. The first Macintosh was introduced on January 24, 1984 by Steve Jobs. It is a series of several lines of personal computers manufactured by Apple Inc. The Macintosh was the first successful mouse-driven computer was a graphical user interface and was based on the Motorola 68000 microprocessor. Mac in 1986. Mac is a microkernel system that was designed to allow the emulation of the variety of other operating systems over it. The principle of Mac became a basis for Microsoft's Windows NT and for Apple's OS X. It allows transparent access to network resources, can exploit parallelism, and can support a large address space. Amoeba in 1980s. It's a distributed operating system designed to connect together a large number of machines in a transparent way. designed for an environment consisting of a large number of computers. The system consists of two parts, a macrokernel and server processes. Microsoft Windows 3.0 comes out. This was the first hugely popular version of Windows. It was the third version of Microsoft GUI-based operating system released in 1990. The first Windows virus came out in 1992. The virus named WinVir was discovered, the first known virus written for MS Windows operating system, which is the virus that infects not your floppies, not your binary, but it infects your documents. An infected program would search for other executable files and edit those files to insert copies of itself in them. Then, it would remove itself from the original file to restore that file to its original condition. Windows NT, or New Technology, in 1993 is a family of operating system versions produced by Microsoft, the first version of which was released on July 27, 1993. The first published version was Windows New Technology 3.1 in 1993. It had similar interface to Windows 3.1 with advanced networking capability and hardware support. It was designed to be a better window, offering networking, per-object-based processes, and file protection mechanism. Unlike VMS, it was written almost entirely in C and designed to be portable across different processor and hardware architectures. Mosaic in 1993, which used point-and-click graphical manipulation and was the first browser to display both text and images on one single page, was the first web browser with the ability to display text and images in line, meaning you could put picture and text on the same page together in the same window. The 2000s. iOS in 2007 is a mobile operating system created and developed by Apple Incorporation exclusively for its hardware. iOS is the second most popular mobile OS after Android. Apple OS devices include iPod, iPod Touch, and iPhone. Android OS in 2008. The Android operating system is a mobile operating system that was developed by Google to be primarily used for touchscreen devices, cell phones, and tablets. Its design lets users manipulate the mobile devices intuitively with finger movement that mirrors common motion, such as pitching, sweeping, and typing. So I hope you like my simple presentation about the evolution and the different types of operating system. That will be all. Thank you.